The teacher was a person that is not like knowing the name to the public. So for the academic and thought of the teacher, there was no would be a thing to pay homage than me to have a relationship between the teacher and close off to the outside. It was said that I'm always regrettable thing. The teacher also out to me something like the world. Sorry is listening to mouth in lot answer. Did not Toriawa. I have heard also to be rather jeer the world to humility is the answer. In fact, teacher captures whom he has become the prominent now sometimes old classmate. There was to add a terribly presumptuous criticism. So I tried to so and so by taking up blatantly that contradiction. Then my spirit says the meaning of rebellion, because the world was ashamed that or unabashedly not know the teacher. In that time teacher sank tone, such as really I do not have a way because man not entitled to influence towards the world. Deep kind of facial expression has been engraved vividly in the face of the teacher. I on whether it is disappointment, whether it is a complaint, whether it is sorrow, but did not know, because it was after all those strong enough to not box wood of another word. I did not leave the courage to say it cut anything. While I'm talking about his wife, the problem came down to it from that of a natural teacher. Teacher. Why do only Nisaru or studying thinking at home? Will do he does not work out to the world. If that person is no good, because such things I hate. That is worthless will do I Rasharu and realize that I can do. I do not understand, Satoru, ... Yeah, but you do not know the Watakushi because it is a woman. Probably not that kind of means you'll still want to do something I do and yet cannot so you feel sorry. But the teacher is saying from the health is not that does not appear to be separate from anywhere bad place. Even durable also. What it does not have a chronic disease. So will do why cannot activities. It is gonna do not know. You. That me if much it is seen. I'm dying of pity because do not know does not coconut and so worried. There has been very sympathetic to the manner of speaking of his wife. But still I see the smile is only the mouth. Speaking from the outside, who I was rather serious. I was silent and the hard face. Then opened the mouth in addition to his wife remembered suddenly. I was not a person when young. Young when had like different. I got totally hen. I have heard that is about when I when young or student era. Do you arc newsletter, you know the teacher from the student era. His wife was suddenly thin red face. 12. His wife was a man of Tokyo. It was once no also heard from even his wife itself from the teacher. His wife, such as I know say true, to the father of his wife is somewhere out or certainly to Tora. The better mom because still woman who was born in Ichigai of the hour and minute. Such as Edo. His wife is of such a half-joke. But the teacher was Niigata Prefecture people of completely Hogaku Chigai. So if his wife knows the student era of teacher if it was clear that not from the relationship of his hometown. However, since his wife was a thin red face was like do not want to talk about more than that. Deeper you were I was put in without listening. From becoming a teacher and acquaintance until his death of a teacher. I have tried to touch on quite a variety of problems in the teacher of thought and sentiment. For marriage at that time the situation could not almost nothing even to hear. I said at the time, it was only be interpreted in good faith, because that of elderly teacher. Wondered cause listen to those young and recalls have dudes gloss it is in deliberately refrain. According to the time, also was also taking bad it, not limited to a teacher. Not only to his wife, compared to me both of us, because it was adult within one era before the issue, and become such sensual problem, for there is no courage enough to honestly open yourself I thought it would. However neither only guess, then also on the back of either guess, it had assumed the existence of a gorgeous romance lying in the back of two people of marriage. My assumption was not really error. But I just did not only got to draw only half of the love to the imagination. Teacher on the back of a beautiful love. Had a terrible tragedy. Then they are either those of disaster look for no matter how teacher of the tragedy did not know. Like the wife of the other party. His wife had even without knowing it now. Teacher died hid it to his wife. Teacher before to destroy the happiness of his wife. It was first ended up destroying his own life. I am about this tragedy does not speak nothing happened now. For two people in love can say to have moved out born but rather for the sake of the tragedy. It was a saying while ago. Both men to me did not you almost nothing story. His wife for the sake of modesty. The teacher also for more profound reasons. But there is that one remains in my memory. I went along with the teacher to Ueno and Flower R in minutes some time. Then where we saw a beautiful pair of men and women. They were walking under the flower nestled in Matsumaji likely. Since the location is location. People are not the eye facing there than flowers a lot. Teacher and it looks like a couple of newlyweds went. I answered, harmonious it is good is unlikely. The teacher did not even rise smile. Towards the foot of the men and women of the two people to the direction. Such is put out of the line of sight. Then I heard this to me. Have you ever been in love? I answered that there is no. Do not want to fall in love. I did not answer. I would never do not want to. Yeah, you look at the man and the woman now. I was sarcasm. Within that dear let's have bought the discomfort a voice that you cannot be obtained a partner. While seeking love. Did you hear that way? People have tasted the satisfaction of love that I heard is what issues the more warm voice. But you. I love is guilty. Do you know? I was surprised suddenly. Indescribably I did not answer. 13. It was in the crowd. Crowd had a both a happy face. Pass through there. Until come into the flower cannot see people forest. The opportunity did not speak of the same problem. Love is guilty as I heard suddenly at that time with its guilt. It is true, manner of speaking of the teacher when the answer and was strong in the same way as before. Why, we understand the Nazadaka now. Es not in now. You should have already known. Does your heart does not have running already love from long ago. I was once seen by examining the inside of his chest but there was unexpectedly to emptiness. Come to mind such a thing was nothing to desired product that this in my chest does not have one. I'm going to nod is nothing hidden in the teacher. I work because there is no objective compound. I want to move thought I'd put down if I do not have a so moving now. Is not that you came to move unsatisfactory result to me. It might be so, but it is not the same as love. I'm kaido on amounting to love, as the order in which hug the opposite sex. I came running first same sex to my place of. To me it seems like those two are different in exactly the nature. No is the same. I am a human being not given satisfaction to you just as a man. Then, if there are special circumstances there, I have not given even more satisfaction to you. I really feel sorry to I think. You cannot be helped to go moving from me to another place. I do have to like it. Rather. But, quote, I became strangely sad. I do not have a way if to think you so go away from the teacher. But to me it has happened of such care as not yet. Teacher did not turn a deaf ear to my words. But do I need careful because love am guilty. But there is no danger instead of satisfaction cannot be obtained in my place. Dash. Kun. Do you know the mood of the time that was bound with black long hair? I knew in the imagination. But I did not know as fact. Also it means that the guilt of the teacher in any event did not know well as lightheadedness. Besides I became a little unpleasant. Teacher. To please Kakashi say more ascertain the meaning of guilt. Please round it up this problem here if it is not it. Seen the sense of guilt on my own is ascertained. Was that bad? You had in mind you are telling the truth. However, I had anxiety. I was that bad. Teacher and I walked in the quiet pace from the back of the museum in the direction of Ujisuke. Stray bamboo that flourish in some of the large garden from the gap of the fence seemed to Retired and quiet? Do you know why visit a shrine of weathered tomb of friends who are buried in the cemetery every month of Zashigaya? The question of the teacher at all was sudden. Moreover, the teacher I was well aware also that it will not be the answer to this question. I did not answer for a while. Then the teacher was saying, as I noticed for the first time, I think the bad cause things went. Anxiety that bad. When you tried to explain, the explanation is also made to the results so as to anxiety, you very much helped. This issue is let's stop at this. Anyway, love I'm guilty, egos and good, then sacred. Quote, story of the teacher is no longer no more and more to me. But the teacher did not do it in love to mouth. 14. Young years I was easy to become a little Tomosaru to one figure. It seems to have reflected so at least the teacher of the me were the beneficial is more of the discourse of the teacher than the lectures of the school. Then the opinion of the professor was the welcome is more of a teacher of philosophy. Speaking of which, clogging in towards the teacher that does not talk a lot just to observe the alone than the great people who will teach me standing in the pulpit was in seemed Araku. Teacher has not supposed to so much frenzy, was said. There has been enough of confidence to me when you answered, I think so as a result of woke up. The confidence teacher did not you one affirmative. Are you floated in the heat? Heat will wake up and hate. I have now from yours appears to so. I feel painful, but expect the change to happen in your future ahead if you look. The note will be painful. Quote, do you I have appeared so frivolous? I know for so much distrust or I think to feel sorry. You say it's sorry, but are not credit either. Teacher facing the garden annoying likely. In the garden, so heavy red strong color the dripping water braille had camellia flowers up during this time did not appear also another. The teacher had a habit to look good flower of the camellia from the parlor. I do not trust, not you do not particularly trust you. I do not trust the whole human being. At that time, voice that seems to sell goldfish in the other side of the hedge was. To the outside we did not have that many of the sounds. 2. From the main street ding also Ioricon deeply alley was Zongai quiet. In the house had been quiet as usual. I knew that you were a wife in the next room. In the ear of his wife that something needlework my speech was also knew that heard in silence. But I've completely forgotten it. I heard the teacher as well the wife he does not even trust. The teacher was a little anxious face, thus avoiding a direct answer. I do not trust even my own. That is because myself cannot be trusted. People also are you so as not to be trusted. I cannot be helped to the outside then curse myself. Given so difficult anyone certain things will not. Do not I have no idea. Did I was surprised at after. Then I was very scared. I wanted to go through the same road to a little earlier. Then, in the shade of the sliding door, you were heard twice the voice of his wife called. Teacher is the second time such as what his wife called to the next room the teacher has a little. What kind of errands ensued between the two men? They did not know to me. Early teacher has not to give a margin to imagine it also came back to the parlor. Anyway, I should not be too much trust me, because regret now. Then in requital that he has been deceived, because what comes to a cruel revenge, is well it means. Memory that once knelt in front of the person's knee. This time is to try to make him put the foot on the person's head. For I do not receive the future of insult. Now respected if dismissed I'd like to think that I am more than now. Instead of to endure the lonely future me. Lonely I want to put up with my now we who were born in modern full of freedom and independence and his own reader is not taste all this loneliness am I as the sacrifice will not be. Quote, I am for the teacher to have this kind of resolution. I did not know the words to say. 15. Then I was worried every time I see the face of his wife. Teacher I wonder all the time out in this kind of attitude even to his wife. If that is if so, His wife wonders satisfactory with it. How the wife was not. But you busy optimizing also unsatisfactory with satisfaction. Because I did not have the opportunity to contact his wife so close. Then because his wife was extraordinary in every time you see me. Finally, because if it is not see you are a teacher and I and his wife did not rare face to face. My suspicion was still even on it. I wonder come from where this resolution to the teacher of human beings. Just cold eye with wonder a result of or to observe the contemporary or introspective yourself. The teacher was a man of quality to consider sitting. If there is even the teacher's head. This kind of attitude I wonder what comes out naturally be thinking the world sitting. To me it did not seem just as so. Preparedness of the teacher gave color living ready. The contours of the stone house, taken to cool burned in the fire was different. Teacher Izoru to my eye was certainly thinker. But in the back of the doctrine that put together of the thinker, it has seemed strong facts are woven. And naku, a fact of others that were disconnected from their own. The fact that he himself tasted acutely. The fact of the more or stopped pulse or blood is hot has seemed to have been folded. This is not what Gis in my chess teacher himself had confessed that it is already likely. But the confession was like the mine of the cloud. Covered those horrible that may have identity to the top of my head. Then Wyatt did not know also to me whether it is horrible. Confession had been the defense, yet clearly shook my nerves. I have the origin of this view of life of the teacher. I tried to assume a certain intense love affair happened between the course teacher and his wife. When the teacher once love is seen Terashiawasi from the fact that said he was guilty. It has also become a clue somewhat, but the teacher told me that actually in love with his wife. Then there was no should get out is prepared for close to such pessimism from two people love. Memory that once was kneeling in front of the person. Now will try to make him put the foot on the person's head. The words of the teacher, such as this, should be used for the modern general whom he, the teacher and his wife it was also like a thing does not apply to between. Who or do not know a person's grave in the Zashigaya, which is also sometimes moved in my memory. I knew it was the fact that it is the tomb with a teacher and a deep nepotism. While there is approaching the teacher of life, it is I that cannot be approached. As a fragment of life that is in the teacher's head, excepted even the grave in my head. But the grave were those dead at all to me. It did not become the key to open the door of life, which is between two people. Rather, standing between the two men. It was as demon interfering with the freedom of traffic. In the meantime, I also came opportunity that must be to talk with his wife in face to face. In that time Siwash Ni autumn go clogged of the day. Everyone was a season of chilly attracted attention. Those suffering from theft and the teacher of the vicinity are 3. It came out followed by 4 days. Theft was early evening either. Although much of the house, which go with what was little, in the place that was entered was always taken something. His wife was bad for you. Circumstances that must be spaced at night who is a teacher to it has been able to. For those in the teacher and fellow friends or being in the service of the local hospital was moved to Tokyo. The teacher out of the 2, along with 3 people, had to kuwaze the rice to his friend in a certain place. Teacher is talking about the translation. I asked the voicemail of up to while I to come back. I took on immediately. 16. I went were those still late that do not ignite or catch the light. But the meticulous teacher was not in the other house. What bad and be delayed in time. With the just we went out as his wife. Such as was guided me to the teacher of the study. The study out of the Yatsuke and chairs. Side by side a lot of the book is beautiful back skin. Was lit in glass in the light of the electric lamp. Wife and me to sit onto the cushion that was laid in front of the brazier. Went out refused. Please have also read in the book that is in need their chido. I was sorry to feel like guests who just waits for the return of his master. I was drinking a tobacco while Kishikoma, his wife, heard a voice talking to something made in the living room. Since the study is in the corner that was bent broken abuts the edge of the living room, and say from the position of the building, it had Ryoshi the quiet that was far from rather than the parlor, and Yumu the voices of his wife in the bout. After was Shin. I am in the mood, such as waiting for the thief. It was handed out to somewhere care while the coagulation, with about half an hour. His wife was also issued a face to the inlet of the study, to say that the parent, towards the eye when I was surprised lightly to me. Then they saw me as funny likely you were a head ishikatsume like a man who came to the customer. It s would be cramped. No, it s cramped. But would be boring. No, because it nervous wondering what thief will come does not have a boring. His wife remains with the tea bowl in hand, stood there laughing. I said, here I do not have a liking to the turn because it is a corner. Well, excuse me, but I think it would be charged. Please. Boredom came out to more middle, but I was brought to put a cup of tea, because the rays in there if it is good in the living room. I left the study to have the tale after the wife. Iron kettle had become clean naga hibachi in the living room. I became a feast of ware tea and sweets. Wife to say that don't not sleep. Did not touch the bowl. The teacher you still will go out from time to such a meeting or... No, there is no rarely out of things. These days seems to be to hate to gradually see the face of the people. The appearance of these was his wife, because I could not see even the wind that's what was otherwise trouble. I became attached bold. If as wife only do exception. No, I'm also one who has been hated. I said, well as a lie. Will do you say so knowing his wife own lie? Why, when to say to me, what I do because I came to like his wife is the world become hate. You are there is only better to the academic. I good you very much. Since that master the empty that reason is. The world has become to hate. Is not that also as said to be I became a hate to me? At the same under the same Nagi theory. Although it is said, which is also referred to as both. In this case is the better of me is correct. Discussion bad. Well towards the man I wilt thou only discussion. I think that it is Ken should not get tired oh well interesting. With an empty cup. The words of his wife was a little titaka. However, say from the disabled ear of the word, was not in any way ferocious. To admit yourself that there is a brain to the other. His wife was not modern enough to find a kind of pride there. His wife looked seemed to take care of my heart sank towards more than the bottom. 17. I had things to say yet then. But taken as a man to launch a discussion from his wife and adversaries we were refrain thought. Troubled. His wife so is not so derasa me or silent except for the bottom of the tea bowl that drink. Asked, do you already fill up? I passed immediately bowl in the hands of his wife. A number? 1, Kunitz. Wife who picked up a sugar cube in what strange is. Look at my face. I heard a number of sugar put into the bowl. Although the wife's attitude was not enough to say that flatter me. Was full of charm to be counteracted by Chakarame the strong words of while ago. I drank tea in silence. It was silent even drink. Told the wife, you I did very fell silent Jima. I answered, Nanti launch something say when her discussion, because it is likely to be scolded. His wife as never, when again. I began to also talk it to the cord outlet. Then also it was to issue a teacher with a common interest to the two people. Wife, do not let a little more say more of while I go. Although you might hear the sky a theory as to his wife. I will because I'm not the things that are said in such absent-minded. Well it says, what is his wife now gone suddenly, what the teacher is alive in the current of the street. I do not sorry and know. You, such a thing. Is not that helped out then see listening to the teacher. Not a problem to bring to me. Wife, I'm serious. So not supposed to run away. Is Naku, honestly answer. I honest not a no to me honestly say. Well or wife I rasharu love how much a teacher. Since this is rather a question that I have asked his wife then listen to the teacher. I hear in you. Nothing is not that good even if Naku, hear him defiant attitude such a thing. Majamakusa, to hear, but not what? Is whether I rightfully understand. Well, so, if gone faithful you are suddenly in the teacher about that. The teacher will do happens. The which the opposite is not the interesting even if the teacher of the world. What happens later once you have gone suddenly? Viewed from the teacher not a hand. I is seen from you. Look from you. You think the teacher will be happy. Or will be unhappy. Quote, well you know if you look from me. But my teacher does not think so. Teacher I might just be unhappy. Or not live it moves away me. Say so. But seems to be on his own she has fallen in love. I am not now I believe that I'm in as much as possible happiness as a human teacher. If there are any people what can a teacher at happiness as much as I am convinced until that there is nodal. I is equipped with fallen because it this way. Quote, although the belief is that it should be reflected liking to the heart of the teacher I think. It is another problem. After all, do you say that the hated from the teacher? I do not think that I hated. I think there is no reason to be hated. But teacher world would not like. In these days rather than the world will do humans have become hate. So one of the human beings is not that cannot have I also liked. Meaning that they hated the wife was finally Namiko me. 18. I was impressed by the understanding of his wife. Wife of attitude gave a kind of stimulation to be my attention where not like old Japanese woman. So his wife did not use most. Such as the so-called new words began vogue around that time. I was carelessly young man with no experience in the deep relationship to the thing called woman. I as a man, from the instinct for the opposite sex, had always dreamed of a woman for the purpose of longing. But it was only to have been in a mood that seemed to look at an old spring of cloud. Just a vague dream. So upon exiting to the front of the actual woman, my emotions were sometimes be suddenly changed. I instead of being attracted to the woman who appeared in front of him, felt rather strange repulsive forced to face in place. Such a mind as not out though was against the wife to me. Normal idea that non-average of thought that lies between men and women also had little Okoshira. I forgot the fact that a woman of his wife. I looked at his wife just as a critic and compassion house of sincere Naru teacher. Wife. I have to say that probably this before because the teacher is not relied world to more activities. When I heard you have that you said. Original apparently it was not a I'm ashy things I was not a fact Anna. What it was a kind of your hope Nasaru such as also it was a reliable person such as my wish. Do you it was Nasu. Why the sudden change? It is not in a sudden I did come gradually Anna. His wife would do the no come to together and all the time teacher during. There were of course. What is the married couple? Well teacher should but it should be understood properly as sources that go with hen so. Gonna troubled because it's it. I do so I really painful and is said from you. Be considered ha to me. Think about it but I do not think. I have what cursory that person until now. I should be confided please do not if I find you seen asking. The teacher is it say you what do? It does not say anything. What it is not to worry. I only say that because I was in such nature. I do not meet Toria. I was silent. His wife was also run out developing the words. Maid who is in maid room did not sound with small birds. I'd like to forget that of the thief. You or me or not Palm I think I have a responsibility and suddenly his wife heard. I answered, no, please go to the not hidden please. So seems to is because I'm painful then be cut only also said that his wife and even this I'm going to have to only thing possible for the teacher. Well because I'm the teacher can also be admitted so, okay. Please rest assured, I will guarantee. His wife was conditioned off the ashes of the brazier. Then it was dispensed the water in the water note to iron kettle. Iron kettle sank immediately sound. I am no longer at last be fully Sarabo. I heard a teacher. I am to please do not hesitate to say if their place is bad. Just because amend if be amended shortcomings. Then the teacher. Not if you in something shortcomings. Drawbacks is I that he only towards me. When it is said so, I do not have specifications I sad it is. I will want to hear bad place of my things still in tears. Quote. His wife was full of tears in the eye. 19. The beginning I was against his wife as a woman who has an understanding. Well, I am talking about in the mind. How his wife came it turned into soon. Wife instead of appeal to my brain. I started to move my heart. There is nothing of what a kamamari is between you and your husband. Also to there should be. There is something still. If you miki wama your eyes open to it. Still do not have anything. The point to bitter wife was here. Since the wife is the eye of the teacher to see the first world as if pessimistic. And declared that I myself have also been hated as a result. While Leave so asserted, it did not come with not at all down there. Dividing the bottom. I had rather thought the opposite. Teacher is a result of hate myself. I have speculated that it will become tired at last of the world. But if even broke a bone, I was not able to be with the fact bear against the guess. Until whereas the teacher's attitude also gave color good person. It was kind and tender. Wrapped lumps of doubt and joy of the day that day. His wife, which had been quietly put away in the back of the chest, showed the inside of the envelope that evening to open in front of me. I've heard, I think, if you, quote, give me what was Anna from me, or from those that say are something this world view that you say. What has become, oh, hidden without saying. I was not willing to hide anything, but if some do not I know it is present in there. And my answer would be what? It was not that supposed to satisfy his wife. Then I believe that there are things that are not I known there. I do not know. His wife was Genwa the aware look to see when the expected out of its instant. I topped up soon my words. Only that but the teacher is not Irashara a hated wife is guaranteed. I can only tell you as I heard from the mouth of the teacher himself to his wife. Teacher will those who do not induce vomiting a lie. His wife did not answer anything. The saying after a while, actually, but I have my little recall it. How about the source factors that became the wind say teacher ah? Yes, if it's Minamotoan, because I'm just not my responsibility. It alone I get used to my very comfortable. But, what kind of things? His wife was looking at his hands placed on top of the knee. I say bitter. Because I say make to your judgment. I'll do it the judgment that I can do. Gonna everyone cannot say. Only where because scolded and everyone say. Not scolded. I swallowed the saliva was nervous. The teacher is still our and minute you are in the university. Gonna good friend of the very relationship there was one person. As it is I died a little before you just graduated. I died suddenly. His wife in a small voice like rather ladders in my ear. Such as I'm actually was unnatural death. It was more good. Such as not help but kikakesa and why. I not a say only that Sue cut. But I'm such after from there is about it. The nature of the teacher came gradually hen is. Why is that it is dead? I do not know. Teacher also it will not probably know. But if you then the teacher came hen. Not there also not think so. Quote, is the person's grave there to Zashigaya is. I do not say because they supposed to do it also said. But human beings only lost one best friend. I think that so much can change. I'm not unbearable by Taku, know it. So one there you I think I would like to determine the. My judgment was tilted toward the negative rather. 20. As long as I forgive the fact that I was made bitterness. I tried to comfort his wife. His wife also looked as much as possible seems to have been comforted by me. So two people talked forever the same problem. But I did not originally grab the radish thing. Also anxiety of his wife actually had to come out of the allegations that were similar to the thin clouds drifting in there. Comes to the truth of the case. Many also to his wife himself did not know. Shikai also where it is May was not able to speak to me. Therefore comfort I also. His wife to be comforted even. Both floating in the waves. Was swaying. while swaying his wife where to even put out a hand. Tried to suko sugary in my judgment, there is no Satoshi Taba. 10 o'clock, when the sound of the teacher of shoes made by the time I heard the front door. His wife, as forgot all to suddenly now, stood up to me sitting before the Sachinoke. Then he greeted the teacher to open the lattice almost Yagashira, while I was left behind. It was carried out at his wife later. Made only it is seen to have been also an app. Did not come out finally. Teacher mood was good rather. But his wife of tone was even good. And the light of the tears that were accumulated in one of the beautiful eye of the just wife then has stored a figure 8, which is closer to the black eyebrows of the roots. I have carefully looked at the change as abnormal. If it was not Itsawari. But in fact it did not seem Itsawari. Accused of wife until now was left over me in particular to the other party in order to play with. Sentimentality. Play adversaries and all woman I cannot take in. There was no. Of course I care to see his wife in so critically it is at that time did not occur. I saw that came shining suddenly wife have attitude. Was relieved rather. Reconsider and I was also not necessary to do so worry if this. Laughing teacher, very much cheers for hard work. Therefore did not come, heard me. Then such as do not palm missing formulation NDE not come. When you go home. His wife was not as very much my heart bleeds for you. Its tone is rather than feel sorry so crushed the free time a busy place. Sounded like a joke that sorry to Naku enter the thief to come much trouble. While is so good wife. The rest of the West confectionery that issued while ago was to have in my hand wrapped in paper. I put it to the broke. Rushed by bending the alley of the less crowded night cold toward the bustling town. I wrote in detail here and pulled can extract from one of the stores that of the evening. This I wrote because only there's a need for write, but a matter of fact. In the mood when the frog got the candy to his wife. Did not look heavy conversations so to ya. I came home from school to eat the next day umameshi. Looking at the packaging of confectionery was placed on the last night desk. Was Hoba, at immediately brown color Castella painted a chocolate from it. Then when you eat it, Beijing men and women of the two people who gave me this confectionery, tasted while aware that it's present in the world as a pair of well-being. Autumn did not also be of exceptional until a winter sunset. I incidentally did the enter out to the teacher's house. Asked for such a hurrying and tailoring how the clothes to his wife. I it to never wearing a thing called chubanas. Began to overlap the ones that took the black collar on the shirt was from this time. No children wife. Become rather boredom is to burn that kind of care. Was the keg says things about it is the body of medicine. When absorbing it hand woven. I have never sewed up the good of such land kimono now. Instead sewing gunabado yeah? Like what I do needle does not stand. The needle was folded to thanks. Even when the say this complaint, his wife did not face that separately troublesome. 21. When winter came, I was supposed to must go back to the accident country. In a letter received from my mother, I wrote how the course of the father of the disease is not interesting. But my is also concerned that now is now, because the year is the year. Me convenience to come back if you can and it had been an afterthought to ask. My father had been suffering from for some time kidney, as seen often in middle age after people. Father this disease of was chronic. Nothing in the person of the sudden change if even instead Yojin also did not believe suspected. Those of the family. In fact my father thanks to one of curing. Had trumpeted the coming customers as came outpaced whether this or until today. The father, according to the mother of Shoshin, suddenly on the machine that is something out to the garden, dizziness was returned Sue repeatedly. With, my wife of thing is chick I think cerebral hemorrhage of mild, was immediately the allowance, seems not very much so from the doctor later, also to obtain a judgment that would be a result of chronic disease. It is the first time began to think to tie the fainting and kidney disease. The winter break will come still had a little while. I leave the date 2 days. I think there is harm in waiting until the semester end. Then, during the day or two, for it is how you are sleeping, father. It floated from time to time in the eye that I face. I worried about the mother. I decided to finally go home. That looked a kind of Kokoro guroshi of each time, to save the trouble and time to send the travel expenses from the country. I decided to go to the place of farewell. People, teacher. Get advanced temporarily only of gold need. Teacher with a little cold feeling. Get out to the parlor is to say that it is okuko. Threw me to the study. Rarely see nostalgic some, et al. Kana sunlight, such as has shines on top of the desk hanging, entered the winter from the glass door of the study. Teacher at a large brazier into the good room of per day. In the steam that rises from Kanatarai was applied on top of the trivet. It was prevented from becoming painful breathing. Severe illness is good. A little I think rather disagreeable is a cold. The teacher, such as saw me in the face with a wry smile. Teacher was those who have never had the disease called disease. I heard the words of the teacher. I felt like laughing. I wonder if about cold. More disease is Shinpei. Teacher would say it s. You know well to take a look doing to try. I guess so. If much I will be sick. Once susceptible to shibio. I did not pay special attention to that, say the teacher. Immediately after the story of the letter of the mother, he offered to innocent of gold. Would sorry a trouble, Pearl River to bring much if because there should be now at hand that. Teacher call his wife, me and arranged the amount of need in front of me. His wife that it came out of the extraction of something or the back of the chadansu is superimposed on teiya sushi to the top of the white paper sheet. Such as well it is a worry. Teacher, what cursory also did you fainted, was heard. I do not has written anything in the letter. What was so much even Sue repeated return many times. Yeah, it is also people that teacher of his wife's mother that he had died in the same disease as my father was found to me for the first time. I said, would do anyway difficult. I am the case. I am but maybe raised on behalf if Daira. Nausea is there any? What about because not written anything, it will do no majority. His wife is still okay if not even come nausea, went. I stood in Tokyo in the evening of the train. 22. Father of the disease was not as bad as I thought. But when I arrived is writing a cross-legged on the floor, because everyone is worried about. It is the coagulation way to put up, well, anything good for us in another place, such as. But the next day, without listening also to stop, mother had finally allowed to raise the floor, because the father as you came back. Suddenly mind you become such I strongly, mother while folding the futon of weaving Mashoni bold descent, such as, to me did not seem to like the behavior of the father is terribly stretched bravado. To be continued. Thank you for your viewing. If you like, please subscribe to the channel. I am very encouraged.